I'm honored that you are spending some time and talking to me about your son, Nicholas, and the impact that it's had on your life. So, um, first, I want to start and ask you, where are you calling from? So, I'm from Ohio. I'm actually sitting outside in June, and it should be pretty warm, and I've got a sweater on. So, where are you?
I'm in Central Jersey in
Okay.
Edison. Yeah, and it's actually the same thing here. It's supposed to be nice and warm, and there's a nice breeze. I mean, I'm loving it.
Yes.
Comfortable. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I know that there's a little bit of craziness going on at your house right now, and I'm loving it. I like real moments. I love this. So, as we're talking, we might hear some of your kids, and I'm
Yeah.
so okay with that.
Yeah.
But
Holding the littlest one right now.
yeah,
The bigger ones may be in and out.
how old's your littlest?
She's 4.5 months.
Hi, you are beautiful.
Oh, thanks.
What's her name?
Brianna.
Brianna.
Yeah.
And then you actually have 4 kids altogether, right?
Yes.
Yes. So you have 3 living and then 1 angel.
Yeah.
You had a stillborn son named Nicholas.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about Nicholas. When was he born? Um,
He was born June 17th of 2010.
okay.
Yeah, he was approximately 32 weeks at
32.
the time.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Where is he? Was he your first?
Yeah.
He was your first. How
Mhm.
did that impact you? I mean, for me, having Mac as my third kiddo, I think that's a little bit of a different experience than I know a lot of women who have had stillborns their first child, and I can't wrap my head around that. I mean, so
Yeah.
how
I,
did you?
I wasn't planning the pregnancy. We had just gotten married, and 3 months into, after we got married, we found out we were pregnant. So it's we weren't expecting it, but we were just so happy and welcoming it.
Yeah,
And all we can think about was preparing ourselves, for parenthood and
absolutely,
myself for motherhood. And from the moment I found out I was pregnant, it was just my life.
absolutely.
So I had a healthy pregnancy. It
Hmm.
was just up until the last minute. There was something with my blood pressure, and it happened. And when I left the hospital, the hardest part for me was I was a mom, but I no longer had that
Yeah.
person to care for.
Hmm.
A part of me just wanted to bring him with me, and it didn't make any sense. But to me, he was my baby.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, it was very hard. The moment I left the hospital was when it hit me, to be completely honest with you.
Yeah.
The hours, the day or two, it was just all a blur, disbelief, so it was hard. I was a mom, but I didn't have the human here to care for. So that was a big void and a long time for me to process it all. But yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Going back, if you don't mind me asking, and of course, let me know if there's ever anything that's too much to talk about. I'll, happily move on past. That was a bug, by the way. Um, so, so you said you had you had a healthy pregnancy, but you had a drop in your blood pressure. So that brought you into the hospital. Is that
It was actually, my blood pressure went up.
okay?
Yeah, I work in a hospital, so I have a lot of nurse friends. So I wasn't feeling 100% myself. So, they checked my blood pressure, said, you know what, you should go to labor and delivery. So I
Mhm.
went upstairs, and they checked my blood pressure, and it was pretty high.
Yeah.
They told me to lay down for a bit. I did, and things seemed to get better. And my doctor said maybe it's just, you've been on your feet all day.
Hmm.
They did everything but an ultrasound. They checked, like they did a fetal heart monitor, and everything was fine. My
Fine.
blood work, everything was just a-okay. So after a few hours, my doctor sent me home, and that night I started to feel cramping. And I'm like, I was urinating a lot. So I was like, this is odd. So I called my husband. He wasn't home. And I said, I think, something's going on. I don't feel 100%. So he came home, and after a little while, I went to the hospital and met with the doctor, and they did an ultrasound, and, they said, we're sorry to say there's no heartbeat, your baby is passed. So
that is a moment you never, ever forget, is it? No. It's on almost an out of body. I mean, you know what they're saying, but it's just not real. It's just not. It's not registering. It's just not really happening. So,
yeah.
Was your husband with you?
Yeah, he was there. I was just gonna say, it's like snapshots of that time. And one of the things that I just remember, my husband and I, like, putting our heads down, and just, like, we couldn't, like, how could it be?
Yeah, it's not supposed to be. Oh, it's not supposed to be. Did you have him naturally then after that? Yeah.
And that was also, that was difficult, going through that experience, and, you prep yourself for, this is going to be it, I'm going to push a baby out, and then it's going to be my own, and then
you don't hear that cry, and you don't, it's the delivery room is and now that you have other kids, I mean, the delivery room is just there's a different feel in the air, and it's not I can't explain it. It's just very,
I know what you mean.
heavy.
I delivered my other 3 children at the same hospital, and the first thing I say is, I just can't be in that room.
I can.
I've been in the room, in my job. Sometimes I have to visit patients and see patients, and I've been in the room for other patients, but I couldn't deliver in that room. There's just too much attached to it,
Yeah, and that's something I never thought of, because for me, I didn't have to go back to the hospital. I didn't have to go back to labor and delivery. He was my third. And I mean, it's been almost 4 years, so I've actually just been back. One of my best friends had a baby, and I talk about a panic attack. I mean, like, I had to give myself a good pep talk and pray, and really, it's the little things like that, I think, that a lot of people are not aware of too. It's those moments that really stick in our heads, but no one else is really aware of, and that's okay. They wouldn't be aware of it, but and we don't always talk about it, do we? So we don't always, say, well, the reason why I'm quiet right now is because I'm having flashbacks. Everything's playing back. Everything's coming back to me. So, yeah. So
true.
You mentioned probably the biggest moment for you in just realizing that it was real is leaving the hospital. And I'd say probably the same for me too. What were those moments like? Well, let me back up just a minute, because I have to ask you these questions here. So, did you get to hold him?
Yes.
Yes. Can you tell me what he looked like? And I mean, I'd love to hear. So
he had chubby cheeks. 3 pounds 4 ounces.
Yeah.
Good size, baby. And I look at my girls now, and I can compare, and I see so many similarities, and they have, like, the chubby cheeks and the blonde hair. His toes, he definitely had my feet. That's one that that I noticed. But he was just perfect in every way. And I look at my girls, and I definitely see so much of him. When I was, not preparing, but I wanted to, like, look through some stuff, and I have a memory box, and I had pictures, and, just looking through the pictures, and just, looking at his little face, and you never forget what I never forget what he looks like, but just looking at the pictures, it just takes me back.
Yes. Yeah. And I love that you said he has your toes and your feet. That's awesome. Yeah. Do you remember all the details? I mean, he's real, he's real. So, oh, Joanna, I'm so sorry. What is Nicholas's full name, and how did you come up with his name? How did he get his name?
Yeah, his name Nicholas. My husband's actually Nicky. So I wanted, to. I mean, it was Nicholas from the very beginning.
Yeah.
Like, as we found out it was a boy, it's like, this is how I pay tribute to you, my husband, and keep your name going, and that's how we chose Nicholas.
Well, very cool. I brought my tissues, so.
And I actually named my daughter, my first daughter, Johanna. Her middle name is Nicole.
Oh, that's awesome. That's beautiful. That's very special. So take me back to the day that you're leaving the hospital.
The day I got out of the hospital?
Yeah. When they tell you, you're ready to go, and at what moment does it really start for you?
For me, when I was being wheeled out of the hospital, I worked there, and I've been there for a long time. So, like, seeing everyone as I was being wheeled out, and they didn't know what to say, so they just bowed their heads, and, I knew what they were thinking. They didn't know what to say, but for me, it was like, I'm really leaving. Like, I'm really just went through that. And people are looking at me. They don't know what to say. I don't know what I feel. So it was just, like, so surreal. I remember very vividly as I was being wheeled out and going into the car. It was just, my husband and I, we just cried the whole way home.
Yeah.
And knowing that our family and friends were waiting for us, and we didn't know what to expect, but we just knew that we had a very close-knit family, so we knew that together we were going to get through it. Yeah, it's okay, pick it up, mommy. It's okay, baby. It's fine. So that, it was hard. The day we went home and I left him at the hospital, and knowing that I wouldn't be able to carry him again, even though he was physically here, but it was just his body. But at least in the hospital, knowing he was there, I don't know, there was just a sense of comfort. But that moment when I left and knew that I wouldn't have the opportunity to hold him ever again, was hard. That was really hard.
Yes. Do you have a memory box? I know. Did they give you a blanket or a teddy bear? A lot of the hospitals, they do such wonderful things like that.
Yeah, they gave us, everything that he was wearing while he was in the hospital. A blanket, the blanket that he was wrapped up in, a lock of his hair. They made a little bracelet with his name on it, and just a bunch of little keepsakes. But the blanket is one thing that my daughter, that's her favorite blanket, my oldest daughter, and she knows that that's her brother's blanket.
Yes. Yeah.
Very special meaning to her. So that's nice.
It's hard. I think that, and this is a total judgment on my part, because I really don't know what other people are thinking, but I can only imagine, how hard it is for them to wrap their head around what we've gone through, and how hard it would be for them to really realize the depth of this hurt that we have, this pain that we have, and we carry it with us every day, through our smiles, through our tears. I mean, Nicholas is always there. So, but the little things. And I think that, you and I had talked previously. It's just, I love how God works and how he matches people up, and, how we cross paths. And I think, I love that you are up to helping me get the word out and hopefully help make people a little more comfortable in talking with us. And I think you and I have in common that we don't want people to rescue us. We just want them to support us and be okay with, and maybe not even support us in a specific way, but, as you mentioned, leaving the hospital there, people were bowing their heads. I mean, and even that is just, for me, that's big. It's acknowledging that, yes, you are feeling some pain, and it's a simple hand on your shoulder. And, I really want to start a conversation on the grief surrounding this.
It's hard for us experiencing it, but it's also hard for our family.
Yeah.
They were excited as we were, to see grandparents or uncles and aunts or, for me, my mom went through this.
Yeah.
So her pain and my dad's pain, they had a really hard time as well because they had lived this. That's the last thing they ever wanted for their child.
So they did have a stillborn as well?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So there's some history there. There may be some genetics involved. I don't know. I feel like it is what it is. It happens, and it was for a reason. I don't know what that reason is. I think I have a good feeling of why. I mean, it's made me appreciate life and my children. Just, I know everyone loves their kids. I know that, but I have a special bond and a special attachment with my children, and I feel, I just have a different outlook on life. And, I'm hoping, I want to take the experience and make the best of it, and if it's meeting you and being able to do something where we can positively impact other people, I mean, that would be huge. But yeah, what you were saying about the support, it's hard. It's great, the support system that you have when you're experiencing this and having people there, and you're not going to ever say the perfect thing. There's not one thing that you can say that's going to take this pain away, but just a hug, just saying, we're going to get through this, and whatever you need, I'm here. That's the best gift that you can offer to someone. And don't be afraid to talk about the situation. Don't be afraid to talk about the child years down the line or months down the line, because I feel so proud when I hear people mention Nicholas, because they're keeping his memory alive. And I just want to make sure he's not forgotten, because I will never, my husband will never forget. So it's great to hear other people saying,
there's something about hearing their name and people speaking about them that is just, it's just so heartwarming and magical. It's just, and even though it brings tears to your eyes, it is just the best feeling in the world, because that means that no one's forgotten him. Like you said, it's, he matters. He was here, and he's real, and he made an impact, and it's continuing to. So, I had so many questions for you, but now that I'm hearing you talk, I'm just, I can imagine for your parents, Johanna. I mean, I didn't know that they had a stillborn as well, but I can imagine how they were hurting for you and your husband, your family, but also reliving everything too.
I will never forget the moment that my parents walked into the room.
Yeah.
And my dad especially, he was heartbroken, and it hurt me to see my parents hurting.
Yes.
because I knew that it was coming from not just a place of, my daughter experiencing this, but it brought back a lot for them as well. So it was.
What is probably the hardest question that you have to answer around this grief? For me, it's how many children do you have? Because I never know how to answer that. And that surprises, I think, a lot of people. I don't know if you feel the same way, but when I ask that question, I think, people expect it to be about my son, in particular, but it's actually about living without him, not like how much did he weigh, or I love all those questions. I don't know about you, but I love to talk about Mac. So yeah.
I definitely agree. That is definitely, and I find sometimes, depending on who it is or the situation, I'm like, do I want to explain? Do I, I just, there are some times where it's like welcomed and I'm open and I would like to talk about it, but then there's times where, it just, I don't know. When you just answered that, like, it brought back a lot because, look it. I'm cleaning up. Do I answer it all the time? A lot of times I say, yeah, 3 children, but then when I feel comfortable with the person, or when I feel like they'd be open to talking, or when I want to talk about it.
Yeah.
So I feel a little guilty, actually. Yeah. Because it should be. I have 4 children.
Yeah. But it's hard. I agree with you. It's probably, I feel like, one of the hardest questions. Are you hungry, Mom?
You eat it, baby. You eat it.
But it's just, there's a multitude of questions that follow that simple question.
Yeah.
That go through our heads. So,
yeah.
So you go ahead.
It's also, when you're talking about it, also what happened. And there's a part of you that, even though there's nothing that I could have done to prevent what happened,
right?
There's always that, what if I would have done this different, or what if I would have done that, and you don't want to go into that train of thought because it's not productive. But I think every now and then, especially after it's happened, I think that's a part of where your mind goes, because you want to have answers, and there isn't always an answer to why something like this happens.
Right. What is the one question that you would like, or you would like people to know that you're comfortable with answering?
Well, I don't know about a question. I know what I would have liked to know going through this experience, or what I wanted to hear, was that I was going to be okay.
Yeah.
Because during that time, when you're experiencing this kind of grief, like, you don't see a light at the end of the tunnel. Like, it feels like your life is over. It's hard. I mean, you feel like you're not going to be able to be a functioning person again. And you will. It's going to take time. But time, it doesn't take away the pain. You do learn to live with a void. It sounds dreary, but it's always going to be a part of your heart that just is never whole again. But you do live, you do go on, and you do find ways to appreciate some amazing things in life. And there's things that I see that remind me of him, and there's just things that I hold dear to my heart, and I hold on to those memories, and those are the things that I cherish. And whenever I find myself going back, or getting upset, that's not what he would have wanted for Mom. And I choose to hold on to those positive memories. But you will be okay.
Yes, that's really good advice going in. Because it is really hard to see it at the moment, isn't it?
It's almost impossible. I mean, if you would have told me you know, a few years ago when we were going through this, that I'd smile again, that, you know, that I'd be able to look at a little boy and not, you know, be upset or, you know, go into that vicious thought process. Like, I would have never believed, you know.
Yeah.
But time goes on, and you know, there is a lot of healing involved and accepting of what's happened. And you know, I have 3 beautiful little girls, you know, and I'm happy with where my life is. I will always miss him, and I look to the day that we are united again and I can hold him in my arms again. So that's what keeps me going, you know.
What advice would you give to people supporting someone going through this?
Just, you know, again, don't be worried about saying the right thing or scared to say the wrong thing. You know, just being there, you know, whether it's in person, a text message, it's just knowing that you're thinking of me, or that you are thinking of my son, or that you're putting yourself out there for us, that means the world. And also, closely after something like this happens, like slowly but surely, people start to go back to their normal lives and their routines, and you know, you start to feel like I'm all by myself. But you know, it's just how life works. People go back and into their routines and living life, and now it's your turn to heal, and you have what it takes. You know, you're a survivor. So just find the energy, find the strength within you to keep pushing forward, because you're gonna be okay.
I like that. That's good advice.
Just keep pushing through. Every day, you know, is gonna be better than the last. So you just gotta keep pushing forward, and you know, just thinking about your child.
Yeah.
They would want you to be happy. They wouldn't want you to be upset. That's what my husband would always tell me, is, would Nicholas want to see you like this?
Yes.
Would Nicholas want, you know, his mom to be upset, you know? And just thinking back to that
I have a question for you, and I don't know. I didn't experience this, so I'd love to hear from you. What was pregnancy like after Nicholas?
Yeah, you know, it was, you know, I was anxious, you know, I was very in tune with my body, listening to my body. I took better care of myself, you know, I was healthier. But there was never this, you know, you see on TV and the movies, and maybe some of your friends have these perfect pregnancies where, you know, that wasn't the case for me. You know, it was always, you know, especially during the times when they like kick and you could feel that. If there was a day or a time where I didn't feel like I was feeling the baby, I'd go into like anxiety mode. And you know, my doctors were so patient and so understanding, because you know, I'd go into the office more than the usual patient. But they were so understanding. You know, they were with me from the beginning, and you know, they were doing everything they could to make sure that I felt, you know, comfortable with what was going on. Thankfully, my other pregnancies were healthy. With my second, there were some, you know, concerns towards the end, so I was hospitalized for a few weeks. But I, you know, I was just trying to be as healthy as I could, because not that had anything to do with my first pregnancy, but I just wanted to be as healthy as I could be for myself and for the baby.
Yeah. Do you talk about Nicholas to your kids?
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah. My 4-year-old, she's very, she knows Nicholas and his brother, and he's in heaven with Jesus, and we go to the cemetery, and you know, we'll take toys or
Yep.
We go on vacation, we'll take like a keepsake and take it
Yeah.
to the gravesite.
Yep.
But they're very familiar with that.
Yeah. Do you have any special things that you do around the time of
We go to the cemetery and
and
we
yeah.
pray. We just
Yeah.
spend some time there as a family.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And not everybody does this, and I haven't quite yet. So if you don't have an answer for it, it's quite all right. But I'm just kind of I just want to hear from as many moms and dads of stillborns. How do you keep Nicholas alive in your life? I mean, is there anything that you do? I have a cousins, I should say, who are just out there trucking along, creating awareness for stillbirth, and they're doing amazing things. And that's not everybody's cup of tea. Other people will raise money for certain things in their name in their kiddo's name. Is there anything you do for?
No.
Yeah.
I mean, then talking about him and during holidays and
I think
occasions.
I think honestly, Joanna, being brave enough to talk about him in today's day and age where it's very, very difficult conversation to have, I think that's very brave and courageous of you. And I think Nicholas would be very proud of you for sharing his story. And I'm so honored that you were able to talk to me about him. And I can just imagine how cute he was with his chubby cheeks, cute toes. So,
And I sometimes I just dream and think, what life would have been,
yeah.
with here with me, and
Yeah.
it's one of those things where that wasn't what was in the cards, but
Yeah.
still keeping him in our memory and talking with him and making sure that my kids know who he was and who he is, and I want them to keep his memory alive as well when they are growing up and having their families. I want that to be something that we always cherish.
Yeah. Have they ever mentioned him out in public?
It's funny you mention once, when we were at his gravesite, we brought some stuff back with us because I wanted to clean it up. Some of it was falling apart and it just needed to get put away. So my daughter got hold of it and she started to play with one of the toys.
Yeah.
And one of my nephew came over and was trying to play with it. No, that's my brother's. That's you can't play with it. So they do talk. Well, my oldest, she's 4. My other child is 2, so she doesn't really get it yet.
Yeah.
But she does.
Yes. Oh, it warms your heart, doesn't it? I mean, there's just to hear them recognize it is just it's the greatest.
Yeah.
My last question for you, because you have got 3 beautiful girls there that are wanting your attention. So, my last question is, well, I have 2 last questions. I lied. I want to know, what is 2 ways that stillbirth has changed your life, and maybe just 2 words to describe it. Just like how has it impacted you to live the rest of your life?
I mean, it definitely taught me. Before Nicholas, I wasn't a mom, but it's taught me to cherish my children. It has taught me. I know what it's like to be on the other side. I know what it's like to want and not have. So now that I do have, I may get upset or I may get overwhelmed and stressed, but I catch myself thinking, you know what, these are the greatest gifts that God has given me, and I know that Nicholas looks over them and protects them. So he's my angel. So it's given me a sense of just love for my children that I know every mom has, but I think once you experience a loss such as that, you just have this special bond with your children that is really undescribable.
Yeah. I'm hearing you say that it's given you just inspiration and perspective. I mean, just an amazing perspective. So my last question is, if you think, if Nicholas could look down and tell you what he's proud of you for, what would it be?
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. That's a tough one. I think he'd be proud of button. No, the button. He'd just be proud of the mom that I am.
I think he would too. And the times that we've talked, Johanna, I think he has so much to be proud of you for. So, you're doing amazing things, and I know you're doing some things in your career too that you're helping people, you're changing their lives, and you're getting them healthy, and it's all, it all kind of stems back to this little guy. So, I
more ways than I've ever imagined, actually, now that you mention it. Yeah,
I think that he would be very proud of you. So
thank you. Likewise. I mean, do this and use your experience for such good. That is
well, our little guys are looking down and they're happy. So that's why we do this, right?
And it's great. I mean, it's therapy. Even though there's tears here, this is very helpful.
I'm with you. And I think that's one of the biggest points. And I don't know if we even covered this because this just gets so emotional for me and probably for you too. I kind of go all over the place here. But I think that I really want to just kind of hone in here and just say, the big reason why we're doing this is to start a conversation and to let people know that, even though we're both crying here, like it's okay, and we're okay, and it's okay to talk about them. It helps us actually. Going through holidays, going through life without acknowledging him, that's just no good for us. So the more we can, and it doesn't have to be anything spectacular. It can be a simple hand on your shoulder or just, hey, I was thinking about you the other day. That's all. And we may just cry our eyes out. It depends on the mood we're in and how it hits us. But boy, does it ever mean so much to us. So
I couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we just want so desperately for them to be remembered and loved, because there is not a moment in our days where we do not think of them. So, and it doesn't mean we're broken. We're not broken. We're stronger because of it. We just miss them. So, and miss the love we could have had with them. So, but thank you, Joanna.
I'm sorry, Gianna, I can't do this right now, baby. Said something that was so important, and that was the word brave. Or I don't know if you said brave or right. And that is something that, anyone that's watching this, that watches this, that is going through this experience, or, you are brave.
Yep.
You are brave, my friend.
Yeah.
You are brave. I am brave. This experience has made us brave. So I think we need to give ourselves that, pat on the back, that hug.
Yeah. That was funny.
Yeah.
I happen to love it, Joanna, because I mean, your kiddos are full of life and amazing, so that's quite all right with me. But thank you so much for talking about Nicholas, and I think of him often, and hopefully other people will be able to hear this and shed a little bit of light to those that are going through it, and to those that are watching other people go through it too. So But
You're
thank you.
making a big difference. You're making a huge difference.
Oh,
So thank you.
it's not me. It's you guys that are going to tell the story. So thank you. I don't take compliments well. So, but no, thank you for this. I appreciate it.